You know, in the industrial world, there's a huge shift happening right under our noses. We're finally moving away from that old wait for it to break, then fix it mindset. Instead, we're jumping into an era of smart, proactive intelligence. So, how are we making that leap? Let's dive in. And this quote, it just nails the problem perfectly. For way too long, maintenance information management, or MIM, has basically been a rearview mirror. It's just a paper trail of what's already gone wrong. But what if? What if we could turn that into a windshield? What if all that data wasn't just a record of the past, but a living, breathing, operating system for the future of your equipment? All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dissect what I call the maintenance autopsy to see why it just doesn't cut it anymore. Then, we'll look at the new operating system for reliability that's changing everything. After that, we're going to climb the analytics ladder step by step to see how data can actually predict the future. We'll get a peek at that future with some cool stuff like AI and digital twins. And finally, we'll bring it all back down to earth and talk about how you can actually start smart. Okay, let's start with the way things have been done for decades, the maintenance autopsy. This is where we spend all our time looking at failures after they happen. And yeah, you'll learn some things, but let's be honest, the patient is already on the table. You're always too late. This idea of an autopsy versus a diagnosis is so important. Think about it. The autopsy is just the paperwork explaining what went wrong yesterday. But the diagnosis, that's the live heartbeat monitor, fed by real-time data, telling you what's happening right now. It's the difference between reacting to a breakdown and stopping it before it ever happens. The future of maintenance, it's all about the diagnosis. So, how do we get there? How do we go from doing autopsies to making live diagnoses? Well, it's not just about slapping some new sensors on your equipment. No, this requires a fundamental shift in thinking, a total mental reboot. It's about adopting a brand new operating system for reliability. And here it is. This is the big idea. You have to stop thinking about your maintenance info as some dusty old filing cabinet. Instead, imagine it's a live, dynamic OS. The question is no longer, hey, what broke last week? It's what's degrading right this second, and what's the smartest possible thing we can do about it? This one shift in thinking changes absolutely everything. This really spells it out, doesn't it? A system of record is basically a history book. It's a passive library of stuff that's already over and done with. But a system of intelligence, now that's an active partner. It's your co-pilot, helping you make smarter decisions about what's coming next. So how do we actually build this system of intelligence? Well, the best way to think about the journey is like climbing a ladder. With every single rung we climb, we get a better view, moving from just looking at the past to actually being able to prescribe the future. So here are the 4 rungs on our ladder. We start at the bottom with descriptive, which just tells us what happened. Then we climb up to diagnostic, which starts to explain why it happened. But this is where the real magic starts. The next rung is predictive, which forecasts what's going to happen next. And right at the very top, you've got prescriptive, which tells us the best thing to do about it. But listen, you can't just leap to the top. Each rung builds on the one below it, and it all has to start with good, clean data. Let's make this real. Let's talk about a simple electric motor. So, on that first rung, descriptive analytics, our system just spits out the facts. Motor M101 tripped twice last week. Okay, that's a start. It's good to know, but it doesn't really tell us much, does it? Now we climb up to the next rung, diagnostic. And this is where we start connecting the dots. The system digs a little deeper and finds a pattern. It says, hey, those trips are correlated with periods of high load, and at the same time, we saw a spike in bearing temperature. See? Now we don't just have a fact, we have a clue. Rung number 3 is where we basically get a crystal ball. This is predictive analytics. The system looks at the trends, and it makes a forecast. You know what? Based on what we're seeing, the probability of a bearing failure within the next 72 hours is really high. Now that is a game changer. We've just gone from looking at the past to seeing into the future. And finally, we get to the top of the ladder, prescriptive analytics. This is where the system doesn't just warn you about a problem, it gives you the solution. It says, okay, here's the plan. Reduce the conveyor loading by 10% right now, and then schedule that bearing replacement for the next planned maintenance window. It's specific, it's actionable, and it saves a ton of time, money, and headaches. So, once you've made that climb up the analytics ladder, you unlock this whole new world of technology. And this is where things get really, really cool. We're talking AI, digital twins, and true automation. And as our analytics get smarter, our maintenance strategies get smarter too.
we evolve, right? We go from simple calendar-based preventative stuff to condition-based predictive maintenance. From there, we get to prescriptive, which optimizes our response. And then, at the very top, we hit cognitive maintenance, where AI is literally a partner, helping diagnose super complex problems and capturing that knowledge for everyone. Now, a huge piece of this new era is the digital twin. So what is that exactly? Well, the easiest way to think about it is as a living, breathing digital replica of a real physical asset. It's not some static 3D model, it's a dynamic simulation that's constantly getting updated with real-time data from its physical counterpart out in the field. So what can you actually do with a digital twin? Well, for one, you can track an asset's health in real time. But the real power is its flight simulator capability. You can test out different scenarios, you can push the virtual machine to its limits, you can even simulate failures, all without ever touching the real equipment. It's basically a risk-free playground for optimization. And then, of course, there's generative AI. And I love this framing. Think of it as a maintenance co-pilot. It's not here to replace people, it's here to make your experts even better. It can sift through mountains of messy data in seconds, answer questions in plain English, and even help draft up maintenance plans. It's a massive force multiplier for your team. But it's really important to know the difference between an AI co-pilot that assists and an AI agent that acts. A co-pilot is your helpful assistant giving you answers and summaries. An agent, on the other hand, can actually take action, like creating a work order or ordering parts. And with that kind of autonomy comes way more risk, which is why strict rules and human oversight are absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, this vision of the future is incredibly exciting. But let's be real, it can also sound a little overwhelming. So how do you actually get started on this journey without getting lost? Let's map out a practical, smart way to make this happen. The absolute key is to do this in phases. You've got to walk before you can run. You have to build a strong foundation first. So you start by stabilizing your data, get the basics right. Then you digitize your workflows. Then you connect your most critical assets. And only then do you start to analyze and optimize. Taking it step by step like this is the secret to making the transformation stick. Honestly, this slide right here is a perfect cheat sheet. Start with your most critical assets, not everything. Fix your data foundation now, not later, trust me on that one. And for every alert you create, make sure there's a clear plan and a person responsible for it. The goal here is to be strategic, not just to throw a bunch of new tech at the problem and hope for the best. And this final quote is such a critical reminder. When you run a pilot project, the goal isn't just to make a pretty dashboard. The goal is to improve how work actually gets done. If your pilot doesn't lead to better, faster, smarter work execution out in the field, then it's not a real pilot, it's just a tech demo. So we've gone all the way from the old maintenance autopsy to this new, exciting era of intelligence. The reality is, in this connected world, your equipment is constantly talking. It's sending signals all the time. The only real question left is, are you listening?